I think about families all the time, and I know you do it for some organizations like ours, but you're saying, okay, Jeff and the leadership at Arcos, what is God telling you to do?
Mhm.
And then you're writing this down so that, like in a North Star document that you helped us with, you're documenting it.
Mhm.
So, if it's not written down, it didn't happen. We kind of have that joke
Right.
at our firm. And for same thing for clients. You have to write these things. What are the plans? Write them down. And so at Arcos, we're trying to connect what they're saying God told them to do and make sure the money part matches. Just connect the money with the purpose.
Mhm.
Okay. And you're saying, okay, I got it. Now let's make sure that doesn't drift. Let's write that down. What are the rules of engagement to have no mission drift? That you write it down. So it's the same thing, just from a different angle, but
Mhm.
both necessary.
I was just thinking about this earlier today, how so often we'll come to an organization and there's some version of a mission, vision, values, purpose
Exactly.
that's there. Now, everyone, they may not remember it. They may
Right.
understand it differently. That will vary. Some can be very aligned, some not. But no client has ever, been able to present to me, here's what drift looks like for us. And even if, the senior leader has a definition of what that might be, others in the organization may not have that definition. And so again, if what we think of as the mission and purpose and drift alongside that only lives in the founder or the leader's, the owner's head, like we were talking about, if that person, gets hit by the bus, what happens to the organization? Everyone's trying to, that next generation will do their best to honor the wishes from the person and the way they lived, but over time it just gets diluted.
Well, the analogy is perfect because we know that when people come in and we do this whiteboard session and we have this gap analysis, this is after, having thousands of these meetings over decades. We've seen this hundreds or 1,000 times. The client is usually experiencing this for the first time. When we hired you to help with the North Star document, you have a template
Mhm.
and you asked us a bunch of questions. We're like, oh boy, that's a good question. I hadn't even thought of that question. You know what I'm saying? So
Right,
I
right.
think you need a guide to do both things. And so it's the same thing for your organization. It's like, I think everybody needs a North Star document if they're going to continue at least another generation going forward. Or what are the rules of engagement? What are you allowed to do? What are you not allowed? What does mission drift look like? What does it not look like?
Right.
There's no way we were writing that whole document as well as it came out without you. Life is a team sport for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate the point you mentioned earlier, and this definitely came up when I was talking to different business leaders for the Lead on Mission book research, but just the importance and the value of those aligned advisors, certainly
Yes.
financial, but definitely the legal side as
Yes.
well. I remember one business owner, sharing, they spent thousands and thousands of dollars with lawyers trying to help them understand what they were trying to do, and it was just a game changer when they found legal counsel that was aligned with them and could help them go kind of further faster in those areas. So I think getting those resources when you need them. I think a lot of our work, like the North Star, we to get together, we say is almost a pre-legal exercise because we talk through what is that higher purpose, what is drift, what isn't drift, what change do we want to embrace for businesses and families too. A bigger issue is philanthropy. The Lord's blessed the business, it's growing, it's profitable. What are parameters if you don't end up doing all the giving while you're living, so you're knowing where it's going? What are those parameters that you want to leave for the next generation of folks that'll be stewarding that? Because all too often, all this wealth, over time, you just see priorities shift as new individuals come in. There are cases of foundations that are funding things that were the founders would have never funded and not funding things the founders helped get started. And it's so shocking that it happens. And yet that's what we see. So writing it down, getting clear, and having those conversations with that next generation, that builds that alignment, whether it's in a family, in a business, in a nonprofit or organization. It just really helps both the written document and those aligning, clarifying conversations.
Yeah, we were having a conversation before we started recording on family foundations, and
Mhm.
I've run into this a couple of times recently. And in fact, I just did a panel for a large nonprofit, and one of the panelists was a woman who is helping run a about $1 billion family foundation. And I thought there were two really interesting things from that. And this is sort of a vignette that I've heard multiple times. One was, this business owner had really left the business when he passed away. It got sold and put into the foundation. And he had picked some really good people to help lead the foundation
Mhm.
who were aligned, but he hadn't written much down. And
Mm.
so as they're having meetings, they're taking their best stab at what would he have said, as opposed to actually having it written is
Mhm.
just much clearer. And so they're doing the best they can. I think this idea of writing things down
Mhm.
and finding aligned people to help you make it pretty comprehensive,
Mhm.
what a gift to everyone around you, your management team, your philanthropy team, your heirs, all of those kind of things. I just think it's so critical.
At the end of the day, it's kind to that next
Exactly.
generation, and it's the same thing with, like, business succession or organizational succession. If you don't plan well, what is the likelihood that that organization's gonna do well without you? And that's yeah, that concept, like, level 5 leadership, like, something doing really well when you're gone. How are we applying that both on the personal side in our organizations? How are we really setting up the next generation of leaders, family members or not, to fulfill that mission and that purpose that the Lord's given?
I always say I'm sort of client number one.
Mm.
So I've got the same issues. That's why we needed you to help us with the North Star document. If I get hit by a bus or the next generation takes over, we've got a great management team. So I sleep better at night knowing all of that stuff is documented, what to do, what not to do, where are the guidelines. All those things are written down. I'm 57. We've got a great management team. It's really freed me up, like we've talked about. You see it from a mission drift, like let's lock this thing in. Okay, tell us the
Mhm.
crazy plan and let's lock it in and
Mhm.
document this thing so we don't drift. It all comes back to abiding. So for me, there's a continuum. Okay, you've got to answer, you know, what does your organization want to do and document it. I
Mhm.
would say with your help would be a great place to do that. There's some element of just trusting God to do the thing He's told you to do and
Mhm.
being true to that. He will guide you. It'll probably look nuts to the world, and just do what he says to do because it's going to lead to a joyful place for you and for others. It's just, you got to be obedient, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
What goes back to what you were kind of sharing, God's design for you, for your business, for your family is unique to you, your business, and your
Exactly.
family. It goes back to that abiding in that personal relationship
Exactly.
with Christ. I say it's as simple and as difficult as that.